Good day, lords and ladies. My name be Nathan.
And mine be Haley, and we are
from the Hobbit Hole.
We're really excited to be here today with this incredible group of gentlemen.
Some of them are incredible, I mean. Yes. This. Yeah.
What happened when you got
right.
rehearsed?
Exactly.
Spontaneity. Excitement.
This is bound to be a great night, so hold on to your steeds as we present Ask a Jouster, Tales from the Tiltyard.
So,
Hey, lords and ladies, my name be Nathan.
hi everyone, I'm Nathan, and this is part 3 of our sugar high.
Wait,
Welcome
we already heard
back to
this.
another second part.
We are going to be hitting Australia.
That's a bad idea.
Well, that's
Enjoying that. And I'll come back on.
Better kids. I told you what the line was going to be. Give me the high sign.
Alright, so I'm just curious if anybody actually knows who we are. It's 2 of us. Well, look, we have like our 6 fans here.
Oh God, he's breaking it. Okay.
Well, if you do not know who we are, and you haven't already started to see our trailer play, we are going to play our trailer and give you a little taste of who we are. Hey, lords and ladies, my name be Nathan.
Hi everyone, I'm Haley, and this is part 3 of our sugar high. Welcome back to another second breakfast and afternoon tea.
And today we are going to be pitting Australia's Vegemite against the UK's Marmite.
Well, that's unique.
Yeah,
We've never had anything like that.
she took the words right out of my mouth. We actually, well,
Oh my God.
we're in joust field right now.
Holy wow.
I know, right? We're sword fighting.
Yeah, something.
Which terms should we be doing? And we have 5 tips to make your Ren Fair day a lot better.
Oh, that's so good though. That's a quick 10.
No, so mine.
Actually, yeah, I'm gonna say 11 too.
I almost feel like the 10 card should just stay out the whole time.
I know, right?
Come back, the queen wants to see you. But until next time,
So long.
farewell.
Nobody.
Tips to make your day better.
Thank you. So if you couldn't gather, we are a YouTube channel. We do a lot of vlogging. We do tasting of foods from around the world. We do a lot of Renaissance Fair vlogs specifically. So Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair is our home fair.
That is where we got to know most of these gentlemen up here. Your men of chivalry. Most of them. These heroes on horseback. Your jousting knights! You wanted it loud up here, right, Marcus? I'm hearing the clinking already. We're good. Okay, we're going to go down the table and let you all introduce your name, your knight's name, your jousting name, and how long you have been jousting. So we'll start with you.
Excellent. I am Shoulders Hamilton. Most of you probably know me as George Hamilton instead, but we decided to use my Gallic name today. I have played Sir James for most of my jousting career, and I have jousted since about 2017 was my first year jousting.
Hello, my name is Marcus Harris. I play Sir Marcus, the Black Duke of Spencer, or Sir Marcus, the Black Dragon of Spencer, or the Duke of Lancaster, or the Duke of Puke, or whatever. I go by a lot of names. I have been jousting. I'm sorry?
She wants you to burn down another orphanage.
Burn down an orphanage! We have had to save so many children from the orphanage of Antioch that they actually condemned them.
I would never do anything that evil as far as you know. I've been jousting since 1988.
Whoa.
So yeah, to put that in perspective, I did my first joust when Ronald Reagan was president.
To put that in perspective, Haley was born in 1988. I was born in 1989. So he's been jousting our lives.
Where did you dig up this old fossil?
What queen were you under when you first jousted?
Sorry?
What queen were you under when you first jousted?
What queen?
Or king?
It was King Henry and Queen Catherine in King Richard's Fair in Carver, Massachusetts.
Cool.
So,
Oh, my turn. I'm Robert Earhart. I joust under Sir Ulrich von Greensburg of Swabia, Herzog von Werdenberg, Gutsherr of the Schwarzenwald, and Hauptmann of the Green Legion. It's a long name, I'm really important. I've been jousting for a number of decades.
So you do not want to date yourself like Sir Marcus did.
My name's John Williams, and I first started jousting under Sir Suleiman, then I switched to Sir Henry, then Sir Henry Lee. There's a lot of names. All said and done, probably about 6-7 years jousting, if you put them all together. I did a lot of different stuff. I used to wrestle with leopards and stuff, so. A lot of stuff.
I can't follow wrestling with leopards.
He chose your seat.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
all right, they're gone. They're gone. We can start the real show.
I'm Dave McCormack. I joust as Sir Balin, the commander of the Armies of Welcome, also known as the Queen's Champion, just some of the time.
Until Sir James.
Forget it.
Well, until Sir James had that title.
I never gave myself that title. It was foisted upon me.
It always is. You know, nobody asked for it, but well, some of us did.
All right, and it occurs to us.
I've been jousting since 2012, so 11 years. Off and on 11 years.
So it occurs to us that maybe some of you are unfamiliar with exactly what it is we do. So we've prepared a little video for you to watch to give you kind of an idea of what jousters are, what the kind of work that we do, and to answer a few of the questions.
By all my honor, I do swear.
By all my honor, I do swear that I shall defend the weak and oppressed, no matter what road I travel. I march is sworn to By my honor, I do swear that I shall maintain my skill of arms and pass my skill on to others. We do. By all my honor, I do swear that I shall maintain the honor and the duties and be a faithful knight until the gentle caress of death releases me from my oath.
We're depicting a mid-14th century style of jousting. It was kind of a transition period getting into that full armor, which a lot of people think that's the only type of jousting they take is in full armor. We just happen to be depicting a different century.
Because we really don't want to really hurt each other. Theatrical jousting is what we do, it's what I want to do. I have no desire to be competitive, really not the horse jousting at all. Sometimes they find us, people that want to joust for us sometimes come to, well, lots of them come to us. It is finding the right one. That's the tough part. too hard. So we don't need to push it anymore to really try to hit each other in the head or something. So no, I don't really want to really joust. I think it's outlawed, but well, to the death anyway.
I've been jousting since 1988. I took up jousting because I was at a crossroads in my life where I was looking for some kind of a path, some sort of a career at a time when I was sick of college. I was looking at joining the military. I was looking at something, anything to give me direction in my life. I stumbled upon jousting. I'd always been a medieval enthusiast. It was a natural progression. It sort of swallowed me up. And my parents like to say that I ran off to join the circus.
It is a definitely good way to pick up chicks.
Hey, Haley, did you recognize some of that footage?
I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah.
Did any of you recognize some of that footage?
Yeah.
That was great. So we are going to take some time here to ask some questions from us, and then here at the end of the panel, we're going to turn it over to the crowd. So be thinking of questions that you want to ask these guys, and then at the end, we'll let you ask them. So would you like to take the first question?
All right, so what inspired you guys to become jousters?
I guess I will start since I've got the end of the table. I have always been interested in stage combat. I've loved the idea of committing violence non-violently, and just the idea of portraying stories through physical action and through swordplay and things like that. And I think jousting is a very particular and almost kind of a pinnacle of that art form, I think. So when I got the opportunity to do it at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair to ride with these guys, I was really excited to do it. I love swinging swords around, and I love riding horses, and it was just kind of a great combination of the two.
I kind of already answered that in the video, but I was a theater kid and a big D&D enthusiast. Woo! Back in 1980, when it was not as popular back then. So, nevertheless, I stuck to it, and I finally found a way to combine my love of all things medieval, knights, knighthood, action, stunts, sword fighting, with my love of theater. And I wandered out onto the road and spent 30 years there falling off a horse on my head for the entertainment of the groupie.
Fantastic. Sir, over.
Well, I've been doing, as a young guy, I've been doing stunt work, and I've worked for a couple of Dallas companies as a squire. I always had a passion for history. I was always in martial arts and fighting and fencing and all that. And honestly, I really made it a profession when my lady at the time said, I think I'd really like to own a horse. And I went, I only know one way to really make money in horses, and that's to make them perform and joust them. So that's what we did, and almost 30 years later, I'm still doing it with horses and jousting, and it's a way of life. So.
Nice time I figured out a way to have horses.
Wow, what inspired me to do it? I think for me, it was the adrenaline. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, there's nothing like having to take like 15 different separate things and put them together. And if you don't put them together right, somebody dies.
Not everybody dies. Yeah. Hardly named. Yeah, scarred for life. I think that's it. Yeah, I like the adrenaline. Also, it kind of, that's my chosen drug of choice, adrenaline. Because they can't take it from me, and I always have it. Yes.
Very nice.
Can't make that up either.
Yeah, very similar to everybody else. I loved knights as a child, and when I realized around 7 or 8 years old that you couldn't actually be a knight anymore, and I thought that was very unfair. But then later on, I discovered jousting, and I squired for a little while, and then I actually got a chance to do it. And same thing, the first couple times you ride out for that first time in the show, and they call your name, and you ride out, and the crowd, starts cheering. I mean, there's probably not another drug out there that'll give you that same kind of feeling.
There is nothing like getting a few thousand people cheering for you.
Yeah.
And you know that really soon you're going to be spitting sand. But, it's really great to feel.
Absolutely. And, the other thing is working with all the other knights. That there's a very, very strong connection that you have with people that you put it on the line with every weekend like that, and that's also another thing that makes the lifestyle really addicting.
Yeah, I guess you really have to trust the guys that you are facing off against to have your back.
That helps.
Yeah. You know what? You also have to trust the guy and the horse.
Yeah.
There's another guy in this, and it's easy to girls.
We've seen some horses have minds of their own.
Oh, no, they definitely do. And they can learn shows. They can also learn the show if you're not there. If you fall up, I got taken out early once. My horse freely ran the rest of the passes without me because that's what he did.
Good horse. That is a testament to a really good horse.
He was a good horse.
Smart horse.
Smart horse, yes. Moving on to the next question, which a few of you have kind of answered this. Did you start as a squire, or have you ever squired? And is that how you got into this, or did you just get thrown right up onto horseback?
So I was a squire very briefly. I only squired at the New Jersey Renaissance Fair for 3 weekends, and I didn't originally intend to do that. I was on the volunteer cast at the New Jersey Renaissance Fair when Richard Alvarez stood up in front of us and said, hey, who wants to squire? And I said, there was a bunch of us that were like, oh, I'll do it. And he said, okay, what side of the horse do you get on? And I said, the left. And he says, you're in. So that's how I squired for 3 weekends, and then after that, I was on the professional cast at the Pennsylvania Fair when I started riding with Noble Cause Productions, and then I went and did a little show called Lady of the Lakes down in Tavares, Florida, and the first time I got on the horse was riding against somebody that I had never met before. And I had not had a chance to practice jousting at all before we went into that show. So it was a very exciting, adrenaline-fueled time for me. So yeah, I was a squire very, very briefly, but it wasn't really how I got into it.
I was recruited by Richard Alvarez in 1987 Scarborough Fair. My girlfriend was working there selling pretzels. And she was like, hey, why don't you come out, we'll hang out, it'll be a good time. So I was sort of hanging out at the fair, and Richard spotted me, and we had some mutual friends. And he asked if I wanted to go on the road and joust. And I said, I've seen the joust around here, it's not that great. And he goes, no, we do a different kind of joust. And so he showed me what they were doing, and the actual jousting was so much faster, so much more interesting. And I was like, wow, I gotta do that. So he said, come on the road as a squire. And if you, at the end of the year, we'll give you an audition. And then we'll see if you can be a knight. At the time, There was only really one joust company that did the kind of jousting we did in the country. It was the Hammond Levy's Action Theater. Yep, and there were only 6 spots, and they were full. So, they were trying to expand the company, but it was hard to get in. But I went on the road. I did an entire year on the road. No pay. They fed me. Traveled all over the country, learned everything you can learn about a horse, armor, weapons, and they slowly trained me. At the end of the year, I auditioned. I went in the show. I did not joust, but I rode in the show as a second. And they said, okay, if you want to come back next year, we'll see about finding a saddle for you. I came back the next year, in 1988. I squired for 4 more weeks, and then they sent me to Michigan, the Michigan Renaissance Fair in Holland, Michigan. And that summer I did my first joust. And I have been jousting ever since. God help me.
And you're still in one piece.
Well, I'm sure there are pieces of you all over the country.
So yes, I was a squire, and I highly recommend it. Because unlike our friend here, I had all the time in the world to learn everything I needed to learn, to rehearse it, to know it before I got my shot. And nowadays, that's not always the case. But back then, if you weren't a squire, you did not become a jouster.
Yep, I was a squire as well, and what Marcus says is true. I make all of my knights squire at least 1 year before I put them up in the saddle. Because I want you to know the job from hoof up. You got to know hooves and horses and saddles, how the armor works. You got to be good with the people. You got to be good with the horses. I mean, there's a lot involved. And unless you see the ground floor of the business and what it is, I think everybody should squire. Everybody should, especially if you want to be a knight, because that's the way it was done, and I still do it that way today.
Yeah, same thing. I actually squired for that guy.
I was just squire too for a while.
Yeah, we've been
Wait, how many people squired for Sir Marcus?
You notice you kept swapping out. There's only so long you can take.
But it's important having a good knight like Sir Marcus to lead you into the fray and teach you how to lead. It can't be said enough. In order to lead properly, you got to know how to serve first. That's another main thing. And I consider myself a pretty good knight when I was jousting, but I was an awesome squire. Make no mistake about that.
Okay, I still square today.
John was the best ever.
Yeah, he really was.
He really was.
I can think of only one other squire that comes close to you. Patrick.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll give it Patrick.
I'll give you Patrick, yeah.
No, but it's scoring is you have to do it. You have to do it. You have to do it.
Yeah, I'm signed up to be a squire for the next 30 years for all the jousting that I'm already doing.
Do you feel picked on, Sir James?
No, I actually feel like I maybe got a little bit of special treatment for jumping in as a jouster and not really having a squire much.
Yeah, I also aspired for a while, and same thing, I found it extremely valuable. You get to learn the show really well, so then when you do get thrown in, with no time to prepare, you're not quite as lost, and then, when things go wrong, so it's helpful.
And squiring's not a once and done. I still squire for my knights. If I have 2 knights jousting and I'm not jousting, I'm on the ground and I'm squiring. It's nice when you're the boss to go, do this. And not ask them. So you take a lance, go. No, don't stare at me, take a lance, put your foot in the arm. Alright, but I still squire. It's still great to do. It's not a step down, it's just a step forward.
Yeah, squires are really the unsung heroes of jousting. We could not do the job without them.
So when I'm on the horse, my sword's way down there. Way up there.
Well, thank you. The next question we have is how many fairs have you jousted at?
How many fairs have I jousted at? Pennsylvania, Lady of the Lakes, Scarborough, Brevard, Colorado. I think that might be it.
That's it. Just a few.
Just a few. Yeah.
That's good.
Pretty much that one circuit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to try. King Richard's Fair, Kenosha. King Richard's Fair, Carver, Massachusetts. The Michigan Renaissance Fair. The Bristol Renaissance Fair. Colorado, Arizona, Pittsburgh, Excalibur Fantasy Fair, Kansas City.
Do you want to just list the ones you haven't done?
It's probably shorter.
Because I'm running out of figures.
I've done quite a few, but also I did Colorado for 12 years, so 12 consecutive years. So when I said I did a fair, I know Pennsylvania, I did it the first time in '92, and the last time I jousted there was 2021. So spread over 30 years.
Well, let's add an extra question to this. So we're going to go back to Sir James. Which was your favorite then? So, out of all those fairs you did, which was your favorite? So then when you list all of the fairs, tell us which one was your favorite.
We are going to get in so much trouble.
I'm morally obligated in this moment.
You wrote the questions. It was on here.
To say the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair. It is my home show, and I do love it very dearly. It's where I learned to do a lot of things, including jousting. I will say, though, having said that, the Colorado Fair is a dang close second. I love the Colorado Fair. It is at a beautiful site. The people are great. I really like the field. It's a rock hard field, as I'm sure somebody will attest. Falling on that field is not fun. But it's just a gorgeous place. You're right on the Front Range in Colorado. You roll out of your bed and you can just like go on adventures. I've done, hiking.
Mountain jousting.
Yeah, if you are literally on the side of a mountain, and there are like 4 bears that come and visit the dumpsters in the campground every night. So yes, Pennsylvania with Colorado is a close second.
What about you, Sir Marcus?
Well, what is my favorite Renaissance fair, or what is the favorite Renaissance fair that I've jousted?
Favorite one that you jousted at?
Colorado. And it's probably not really fair to Pennsylvania, because I like jousting in Pennsylvania, and I've done it quite a bit. Colorado was essentially my show, my home fair for 13 years. So, I have a lot of that. That's where I really spent most of my jousting in my 20s. Into my 30s. I deeply loved it. I also like coming home to Pennsylvania later in the year. It's a nice place to come home to for the fall.
Oh, that is true.
But, I'd have to say Colorado.
Wow. Like, I've jousted at almost 35 fairs across the country.
So we'll just leave it at that. I don't have 35 fingers.
Yeah, that's my thing. About 35 fairs. I've done lots. Like Sir Marcus, I've jousted at, I did the New York Renaissance Fair for 8 years. I jousted there. I've been in Kentucky jousting there for the last 9 years with my troupe. But, I like fairs for different reasons. When I was jousting Michigan, we did that for 6 years. And the fair is nice, but the society of people who live there was awesome. But my favorite fair, I have to say, is the fair where I met my lady love at, which is up in Maine. That's where we met, and that fair will always hold a soft spot in my heart because it's where my true love is found.
Everyone's saluting.
I'll keep it short. I'm going to have to say Pennsylvania because it was my first, and you never forget the first.
Hold on a second. How many here have not been to the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair?
1, 2, 3.
Okay. It is on your list to do this year. It is on your list to do this year, correct? All right.
It's hard for me to say because I'm actually one of the owners of the New Jersey Renaissance Festival. So to say Pennsylvania, it's bad.
We won't tell your story.
Don't tell my partners.
John Williams for God Emperor. That's a good count.
No, thank you, sir.
So I've done 5 fairs, but most of my jousting has happened at the Pennsylvania Fair. That's definitely my favorite as well. Although I will say that each fair is sort of a unique thing to itself. So if you get the chance, go check out some other Renaissance fairs. It's so cool to go and see. Like if you're a Pennsylvania fair goer, and you go to somewhere else, you go to Scarborough, Texas, or something like that, you're going to get a different experience. And that's what's so much fun about Renaissance fairs, is they're different. Everyone you go to, and there's something new and charming about each one. So, yeah, I love them all.
Also, if you live in this part of the country, you are literally surrounded by really good Renaissance fairs. It's like a couple hours drive, and you can go to like 6 or 7 excellent quality shows.
Some of the biggest ones.
Yeah, if you're into Renaissance fairs, Central Pennsylvania is a good place to live. So, and they're not all the same. Each one has its own je ne sais quoi. So, yeah, definitely get out there. Look at other jousting companies, other acting companies. Eat different turkey legs.
The turkey legs are all the same everywhere you go.
Some of them are they do all come out of the back of the same truck.
All right, so we want to know, what is the craziest thing that's ever happened to you while jousting?
You better.
That could be a lot of different things. I think I'm just gonna. I'll keep this one simple. So one time in Colorado, we almost jousted in a luggage store, which is scary around here. But in Colorado, when you're on top of a mountain that doesn't have any cover on it, on the joust field, you are literally wearing a bunch of metal. You're carrying a 10-foot pole in your hand. And you're just out in an open field. So there was a time, it was, the thunder was rolling in, it was raining, it was hailing at the time. We still went out there, we got on the horses. We were sure the joust was gonna be canceled at any time because the thunder was like right over the hill. But they didn't call it until I literally put the metal can on my head and I went to pick up my lance and I just thought, oh God, here we go. And then as soon as I pick that up, they call it, and I have never taken my helmet off faster.
Okay, what the craziest thing that ever happened while jousting? Okay, I've got a lot of those, but I've got one that hands down, it's surreal. Also happened in Colorado. I was jousting there, I think it was 1999. It was kind of a rainy day. It was overcast, and it was a very small crowd. Some diehards had come out, and everybody was getting wet. So we decided to come out and give them a joust anyway. Because we were wet, the armor was wet, the horses were wet. We might as well do something. These people paid money to get in. Let's give them a show. So okay, out we go to do the joust, and we come in. We perform testing of the field. The court parades in. We are welcomed. We are greeted by name and introduced and everything. And then we progress in the show to the point where we are getting our favors, and we parade our favors, and we come back to center. And everyone looks to one end of the Tiltyard. And there is a bear who has decided to cross the Tiltyard to get to the trash dumpster on the other side of the fence.
Why did the bear cross the Tiltyard?
To get to the trash dumpster. So everyone stops, and we watch in slow motion this bear cross the diagonal of the joust arena. And after about 3 minutes, he takes no mind of us. And it was a small enough crowd. He never would come out if there were more people. He just sort of skirts the joust and goes up the hill. And then the trumpeters, and we continue the show.
Yeah, craziest things. Like Sir Marcus here, man, I got a lot of crazy stories. I've jousted in lightning storms. To the owners of the fair telling me not to, but there was people and I wanted to joust, so we did that. Jousted in hail, that was crazy. Jousted around a tornado. But there's one crazy one that, like, this for me was fun and very crazy. So we were jousting in western Pennsylvania. Our list, which is the divider down the center of the field. I was trying out different designs, and this one was all connected. And we were turning the joust, and the one night on the one side, my opponent turned his horse tight, hit the end of the list, and the whole thing crumples in like a big erector set falling down together. So it's a big mess. I didn't see this. I had my back to the list. I turned my horse. I give him the cue. We shoot off. All of a sudden, I see the fence crumbling. I'm on top of the horse going, crap. My horse gives me all the signs that he's going to jump. But he doesn't. He stops dead at the end of the list of this crumple. I go flying over his head into the middle of this erector set of wood I've just landed in. I can't get up because my lance is, I'm fine. My squire comes over and I go, get me out so we can keep jousting. My lance is between my legs. I'm stuck in a pile of wood. They dig me out. We continue with the joust outside the list. That to me was crazy and fun. There you go. That was fun.
The show must go on.
The show must go on.
Every time. Wow, craziest. It has to start with a crazy horse named Loki. Never name a horse Loki, by the way. It was a new horse. I had just reached the level of equestrianship, I'll say, horseback riding capability, to be given the crazy horse. That's a level of respect and stupidity at the same time. So my horse returned into the lane. My horse starts to freak out. We've all been to Pennsylvania, right? You know, they have the steps in the front that go up to the guys, right? My horse freaks out and bolts. It's going straight toward the steps. I'm gathering up right rein and two little fingers. Please, don't die. The horse's head starts this way and ends up looking almost back at me. It's still running towards the thing. And I'm not super religious, but that's when I found Jesus. The only thing left to do was to let go of the reins and hope that the horse will make the right choice.
Jesus, take the reins.
And the horse's head came back around. It literally looked at the steps, said no, jumped, 45-degree angle to the right. My opponent, or my partner, was still coming in this other direction, gave a solid hit, woohoo! Right? And I fell off and the rest of the joust was normal. But yeah, that had me crazy. There comes a point where the joust goes crazy sometimes, and you just gotta go, okay. Hope somebody's got a plan, because mine are done.
It's live theater, you just go with it.
So, I don't know if this is the craziest story, but it's one of my favorite crazy stories. It involves Richard Alvarez. You might have heard the name before, one of the godfathers of jousting.
Can you tell us who Richard Alvarez is briefly?
So, I think Mark would probably be the best to introduce, because he spent the most, I think he probably spent the most time with him, didn't you?
I was Richard Alvarez's squire.
Yeah.
That's how long ago that was. He was the managing partner and general director of the Hamley's Action Theater for many years. They were one of the first joust companies in the United States and the first joust companies in the world. And he trained me, taught me everything I knew. He was a father figure. And I had some wonderful jousts with him for years. He was a legend in the industry. And unfortunately, we just lost him in 2000. But, or 2020. So, yeah, it's a terrible loss. But that's who Richard was. So, Richard was the voice of God.
Oh, yeah.
Many a joust.
Yep. He was definitely a legend. And when I met him, we had already retired 3 or 4 times. And then we just kept coming back.
Yeah, that happens to jousters.
Yeah.
Did we mention that it's a drug?
So he is the Brett Favre.
That's the only way
He was the Brett Favre of jousting? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know that reference. What?
Tom Brady.
What? I don't know. Anyway, so Richard Alvarez was there. It was my first season jousting, and he's in his 60s at the time. But we always talked about how he was held together with duct tape and legend. He was just a force to be reckoned with. So I was training, and I was just about to do my first saddle fall. So in different joust companies, they handle things differently. And the company that I was working for, the joust was choreographed. So if I was supposed to get knocked off the horse and fall off, it was on the knee to get knocked and fall off the horse. And I was afraid to do it. It was the first time I had ever done it. I was pretty scared. So Richard knew that I was afraid to do it. So from my perspective, I get ready to do the joust with Richard. We do our passes. It comes time for me to fall off the horse. And as I'm coming, I'm looking at Richard, and he just, something about him is different. He is carrying himself differently. He hits me and drives that lance into my shield and actually knocks me off the horse. Because he wasn't sure if I had the stones to actually fall off. So later on, I go back and I go, Richard, did you actually mean to knock me off that horse? And he goes, no. Turns right around to the other gentleman that we were jousting with. He goes, oh yeah. Yep.
That was the perfect story to lead into my next question.
Oh, perfect.
Do you guys really fall off those horses?
Yes.
We do really fall off those horses. Sometimes we even do it on purpose.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit? I don't want to give away too much of the secret, but can you tell us maybe, like you said, each joust company does it a little bit differently. Is there a way to do it safely so that?
There's a way to do it safer. Like you have to watch out coming out of the saddle. The typical way to do a stunt fall like that is to roll out of the back of the saddle off the back side of the horse. It also happens to be your weakest angle. If you think of a person like a box, the 45-degree angle off your butt is the weakest angle you have in the saddle. So it's the easiest to get knocked off. Or fall off and do a safety fall, as they're called if we're taking riding lessons. But you got the dangers are, coming off the horse is fine, it's the landing that'll always get you. The sand we joust in is generally fairly deep, so ripped up knees, ripped up ankles are pretty commonplace. And yeah, the first couple times you do it, I mean, you gotta take a breath, let it out, and just hope for the best. And off you go. It is less terrifying to get knocked out of the saddle because you don't know what's about to happen until you hit the ground and all the air gets expelled from you.
Which is more historically accurate then.
Well, we get asked that question all the time. And when people ask us that question, do you really fall off those horses? Well, they just saw the show. What they're really asking is, do you really knock each other off those horses? And for the most part, in theatrical jousting, we do not. It's choreographed because it's safer that way, and in competitive jousting, which actually exists, or in shows where the jousters are actually trying to knock each other out, and they're trying to stay in the saddle. Those can be very boring shows, because if two jousters sit in the saddle and keep passing and hitting each other, and no one can knock each other out, well, then that's the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. In order to further the plot of the story and the show we've written, we've decided that it's important for one of the jousters to be vanquished, knocked off, removed from the saddle so that we can continue to another part of the show. So really it's something, it is choreographed in the sense that we know we're going to do it, and we usually know when we're going to do it. But that doesn't mean we always know how we're going to do it.
Right. I was jousting in Ohio once with one of my senior nights, and it just so happened that one day we were in we usually do 5 to 7 passes, where we pass each other and hit. And something about it this one day, Troy and I, my jouster, we hit each other with saddle lances hard. Both of us just hit square and beautiful, and we both rocked back. And we both at the same time at the opposite end of the list went, oh, that's how we're playing today. So the next pass, we ram into each other. Hard enough that we're both holding on to the saddle as we get to the end of the list, trying to keep ourselves up. We grab lances, we both put spurs in, and we go and hit each other again, really hard. And at the same time, we go, we gotta stop this or someone's gonna die. But sometimes the adrenaline gets to you and you're just like, oh yeah. That's how we're playing today. Yeah, that's how we're playing the fine.
So yeah, we do really hit each other. Yes, we do really fall off those horses. And in the show, in our shows, usually we do not try to knock each other off. Now, that having been said, yes, I have done it. Gone out and competed privately with friends, armored up, and actually traded real hits and tried to take each other out. I know you have.
Yep.
I know there are a lot of us here that, at the end of the day, when the crowds go home and it's the middle of the week and you want to truly test yourself, sometimes things get a little raucous. So we have done it. We can do it. But for our audiences, usually we do not.
And for us too, this is a job. You break somebody's collarbone and they can't joust, they're out of work. And you're out of a jouster, and now have to go find someone to ride that horse.
Yeah.
So, it is a job where, collarbones take months to heal. Concussions are bad. Yeah, we try not to do that all the time.
So with that, I've always been curious, when you do fall, you guys are wearing armor. I mean, is there a certain way you have to hit the ground so that that armor doesn't cut into you or do damage to you?
Ideally feet first.
When you find that out, let us know.
When you exit the saddle, you fall. And the moment that some part of your body strikes the ground, makes contact with the ground, the fall is over. Usually the falls are pretty good. Because you haven't hit the ground yet. Once you hit the ground, you have to land the fall. And that's where you use your knees and your legs as shock absorbers. You try to get your legs underneath you when you land. A perfect fall, you land feet first, and you can take the bounce in your knees and your hips, and then you roll out of it. An imperfect fall will spin you upside down and you'll land on your head or your shoulder will be caught in the saddle, your foot will be caught in the rein, it will spin you upside down, and so yeah, really it's about landing the fall. And get your feet down first. Roll back, relax. Don't put your hands out like that because you break the wrists. Tuck in, make yourself into a ball, get your feet down first, and then roll out of it. And then hope for the best. Knock on wood.
Yeah, usually when I do a fall, I think about where the energy is going, and so I try and land with my feet first, and then just kind of crumble into the ground, and then once I'm crumpled into a nice little ball, I continue that energy into rolling. And it makes a nice dynamic fall, because people like to see that. I have jousted with some people, I don't know how he did it. There was one person that was jousting at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair this year that every time he fell, he just did a belly flop. And he was fine. I don't know how he got out of it, but literally every time I watched him do a fall, I was like, oh no, you okay? But he kept getting up and kept fighting. So different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, your falls have honestly been one of the most graceful and yet powerful falls I've seen in a joust. So
well thank you.
You're doing a good job.
I appreciate it.
Anyone else? Nothing? Okay. Next question.
Well, I've actually, with that, I've always wondered, like, what do the horses think with all their riders? It's always falling off.
They think we're crazy.
Right.
Yeah, they think apple.
And then occasionally they think apple, carrot, bear! And that's pretty rare.
I think different horses do have different opinions on it also. Some horses they don't mind at all. They will continue doing their run like they're supposed to. They'll go to the end of the field and the squire will catch them. Everything will be great. Other horses don't like it when somebody falls off of them, and as soon as they see something flying next to them, they'll try and kick that thing that is flying next to them.
We don't pick our horses based on their size, or their breed even, or their color, or their shape. We pick our horses based on their temperament. What you want is a horse that is intelligent, is a fast learner, and a horse that you can convince not to be afraid. And then as we take them through the training process, it's slow repetition. We train them, they're not going to get hurt. And if they don't believe they're going to get hurt, they don't care. Some guy comes flying off their back at 100 miles an hour in a dressed up full armor and he hits the ground like two Volkswagens crashing together. He doesn't care. He's going to run to the end, and the nice squire's going to give him something to eat. So that's really what we're looking for. So, some horses develop an adverse reaction to it. Sometimes, because of our weight, when you rock back in the saddles, it puts pressure on the back of the horse's back and their spine. And over a period of time, it can it can give them a sore back, it can turn the experience negative for them. When that happens, a smart horse, and you want to be smart, will figure that out and will start to negatively react to you when you fall. They'll feel your feet come out of the stirrups, and they'll know it's coming. And then they'll make a plan. Usually that plan is to drop their butt and jump out from under you. And then run like crazy into the end, where the nice squire lady will give them the treat.
Very interesting. And that kind of leads into the next question of, do you guys have a favorite horse? Or, you know, since we don't know the horses, why is it your favorite?
I'm not going to look at the end of the table when I say this. I do. There are a couple of horses that I really enjoy riding in the herd of the noble cause horses. One of them is Storm. I really enjoy Storm, but I will say my favorite horse to ride is Easy Money. Yeah. He's a great horse. He tends to be a little nervous sometimes about going into the joust passes. He doesn't like to get hit, but he's a very responsive horse, and it is not hard to get his energy out. I think often, yeah. This is what happens when I say that I want to ride Easy Money, and Sir Balin doesn't take kindly to that. But yeah, so he's a very responsive horse. That's what I like about him.
I've had therapy since then. It's okay.
Yeah, he's doing much better.
So we're all very, very pleased with the progress that Nick has made with his anger issues.
I tend to find that it is easier for me personally to calm a horse down than it is to get it amped up. So I prefer a more hot-blooded horse, one that has energy of its own to kind of give. So that's kind of my preference.
In 1990, I encountered my perfect horse. She was my partner. She was way too much horse for me at the time. And she taught me to ride. But once she and I connected, this is a horse that I could do anything with. I could jump this horse through a brick wall and she would just do it. She'd do whatever I asked. She was fast. She was smooth. She knew the show better than I did. She always protected me. One time in 1991, the last day of the fair in Carver, Massachusetts, King Richard's Fair, my opponent's horse swerved in front of me, turned sideways, and stopped. I pulled her up and asked her to jump over the other horse. She almost cleared it. But because she went up, we didn't go under. And she did a complete forward roll. When her hindquarters came up, she shot me out of the saddle like a catapult, and I flew like 15 feet. I rolled out of it, she rolled out of it, we both got up and we were fine. On another horse, I would have gone under that animal. So I could ask her to do anything. And unfortunately, we lost that horse on the ground at the Pittsburgh Renaissance Festival one night in 1999 when she had an adverse reaction to a worm paste. Ivermectin had an adverse effect on her. And there's not a day that has gone by that I don't think about it.
That really is beautiful.
She was, and John knows.
First horse I ever saddled. Actually, to learn the process. Yeah. Yes, that's it. Sorry.
Are we all crying?
The caravan horses, it's pretty deep. Like there are partners. There are partners.
Well, I've always owned the horses I jousted on. A lot of times, knights and companies come into a company and the horses are already there. So I'm going to steal this actually and show you Frederick. This was a horse I jousted on. He was my horse. That's him right there. He was a Belgian quarter cross. This horse loved to joust. I owned him since he was 6 years old. He was game since the very first time I met him. And we jousted everywhere and did everything. That horse loved to joust so much. In Michigan once, we were jousting. The other night had a bad movement on a horse. The lance came down and clipped Fred in the face just below the eye. Now, his eye was fine. He got taken off the field. The vet came out, stitched him up, and said, well, that's going to be swollen and we probably shouldn't ride him tomorrow. And it was the second day of the show, and all the other horses went out to train in the morning. He almost broke down the stall to get out. I ended up jousting him and riding him the next day because he wouldn't think of me going out there on somebody else. And yep, he was my boy, and we did fire, we did movies, he hated guns, but he would do cowboy stuff for me. We jousted around a fountain, we jousted in the streets of Philadelphia. I've jousted him in prisons. He was the shit. Begging my pardon, but yeah, he's my favorite horse. He did pass away a few years ago. My new horse, Marauder, is young and is brave, but I don't think I'll ever have another horse like Fred.
So the best horses, the ones that do the longest, the ones that are the most game, the ones that enjoy it, when for some reason they're unable to joust, but they know that jousting is going on, they want to run, gallop to the sound of the drums. Horses try to break out of stalls to get out on the Tiltyard because they know they should be there. And they love being there. So, and we love having those are the good ones.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a number of things that I love about jousting, but I think one of my favorites, probably the favorite thing about it is the horses. And for anybody who's never really gotten a chance to work with a horse, you know, and there's a difference between like riding and really like living and working as a partner with the animal. Those are some of the most unique animals that there exists in the world today. I couldn't really describe what makes them so unique that way, but the partnership that you develop with a horse is unlike a dog or a cat or even other people. It's just something special.
Yeah, you don't put your life in the hand of your cat.
No, right.
When a horse could kill you, anytime it wants to, and you made an agreement, then it won't.
Exactly. And then it listens to you, and then it also takes care of you. It's hard to pick a favorite horse because there are a number of horses that I've had the opportunity to work with that I've loved for different reasons. Easy Money is an example. He's one of my favorites. But then there's other horses that I've loved because they had a different, unique quality about them. But I think just in general, getting a chance to work with those animals is something very, very special. And I understand that most people never get a chance to experience that. I wish everybody did, because if you get a chance, do it. It will change your life.
Well, thank you all. Switching saddles here, since we're talking horses. I'm a dad, so I can do the dad puns here. Thank you, Sir James.
No.
Okay. I appreciate the.
Don't cross the streams.
No. Are we talking Spaceballs now?
No,
Ghostbusters. I was thinking that, I was on the shark. Yeah, I'm sorry. So, I want to know, what are the pros and cons of jousting? Like, what do you hate? What do you love? Can you actually, we could be here the rest of the night probably with this question. But
maybe just one pro.
One pro, one con for each of you.
Jousting.
One of the things that I'm going to say is a pro is probably something that a lot of people are going to say is a con, and that is you get to live in nature when you're out on the road. So a lot of the places that you live in are like, plywood shacks, or in the case of Colorado, I literally live in a tent for 2 months on the side of the mountain. I love that. I love being out in nature. I love feeling like I'm connected to the land and the people around me. And just getting to kind of disconnect from, living in suburban life of the city or something like that. I think that is a really, really beautiful opportunity that you have when you're on the road to kind of get away and reconnect to something that is a little deeper and a little bit more real in a lot of ways. In terms of cons, I wish we made more money.
Don't we all?
There's an old jouster joke, and we all know it. What's the difference between a large pizza and a jouster? A large pizza can feed a family of 4.
I think relationships have to be the big con. And not for what most people think. You have to have a bond with your fellow knights and your horse, and it has to be so tight so that you don't die, that all other relationships really, for at least the time you're jousting, have to be secondary, or else someone's going to die. And it's really hard to compete with something that is so all-consuming, for a partner. Some of us have been lucky, some of us not so lucky, I don't know. But it's relationships, it's a tough one. Because you have a relationship with the knights, you have a relationship with the horses, and
relationship with the squires.
There's not much left when you get home.
Yeah, the fires of adrenaline can forge mighty bonds between people, and forge people into teams and into crews that there's almost no way to compete with that if you're on the outside of it. So it makes it difficult. And jousters, deservedly, tend to have a reputation of being womanizers, fly-by-nighters, or Mennoniters, in the case of our female jousters. And there are female jousters. I tried to get one to come up here, but she doesn't have the chance to right now. And all the other ones I know are working this weekend. Unlike us. But
you got the BT.
John is absolutely right. It can be really tough on relationships. My pros and cons are my pro, the travel. I had the opportunity to ride a horse in the joust on Boston Common. I did a joust up in Aspen at Kurt Russell and Colby Ranch. I got to joust in all over the country, in places I never would have gone to. I love traveling. I love going from place to place. I used to in Boston. I used to go out in the fall and ride my horse Thumper through the cranberry bogs during harvest season. Everything is a sea of red. And I've ridden on beaches, and I've ridden my horse on Gettysburg, on Pickett's Charge. I've ridden on horseback. These are all the things I would never have gotten to do except to travel. The cons, it eats your life. The longer you stay on the road, the harder it is for you to get back into the real world and get a real job and get years and years of no health insurance, years and years of no dental insurance. These things take their toll. So it's a trade-off, and I'm glad I did what I did, but there are cons to it, and that's what I would say.
Yeah, I think the biggest con for me is the travel. Because I always found those drives, you can travel all across the country. And of course that means the horses and all your equipment has to go with you, which means somebody's driving. And I hated those drives. Those 30-hour nightmare, caffeine-fueled, just stress fest. I had one time where the bearing in one of the wheels sheared off and caught fire. I had no idea until somebody pulled up next to me while I'm driving a big horse trailer. And the guy's yelling at me, "You're on fire!" What? You're on fire! So I look in there, and sure enough, there's smoke coming out. Unfortunately, we were just passing through Lamar, Colorado, this tiny little town. And I pulled off and jumped out, and I hit the flames that were coming out from underneath the vehicle. I had a fire extinguisher with me, so use the fire extinguisher. I thought I knocked it out, and all of a sudden, poof, goes back into flame. I don't have any more fire extinguisher. Somebody had fortunately seen what was going on and called 911, and within less than 5 minutes, the police department and the fire department were there. And they took care of the fire, and then they helped me pick all those horses out of the van. And I'm just handing horses to these random firemen, these random police officers, and they don't even have lead lines on. They just have like string and rope. And these officers were great, they helped me out. But I mean, you walk away from an experience like that, and you're like, I'm never driving again.
All the equipment has to be transported. All the horses have to be transported. It is a huge undertaking, crossing the country like that, and it's very expensive.
Yeah, you'll buy new. I got a transmission from the Grand Canyon one year. All new brakes from California one year. There were years where I put 80,000 miles on 2 vehicles in a year. Travel's The cool part is that I get to live like a knight, man. I get to fight, joust, and drink, and wench, and all the things you read about, you get to do. And the bad part is, yeah, I mean, no health insurance, stuff hurts now that I'm in my 50s. That shouldn't hurt, and, but I got stories, and scars. That's cool.
Scars are cool.
Scars are cool.
I hope so.
Please tell me scars are cool.
And scars are like tattoos with cooler stories.
Yeah.
Scars are all I have.
What's up?
All right, well, switching gears, totally different thing. What is your favorite movie, cinematic joust? Do you have any?
Ooh, we get to be movie critics. Excellent.
I got mine right off the top of my head.
Go ahead.
El Cid.
Oh yeah.
The joust in El Cid is cool. Is it historically accurate? No. Is it fun? The dude beats up the other guy with a saddle that he takes off his horse that's laying on the ground. I have always wanted to do that. I haven't yet, but give me time. So El Cid joust. I'll just stop there.
El Cid.
Yeah.
You took the good one.
Sorry.
I'll be the guy, A Knight's Tale.
No, I was gonna say.
And the reason why is A Knight's Tale is the dream of being a knight, not the actuality. It is, that's what we want it to be. You know, and when we're jousting, I don't know about anybody else, but like heavy metal is what's going on in my ear holes. I'm like, yeah!
And John sees himself as Heath Ledger every time
Yes.
he goes.
I think we all do.
See John as Heath Ledger when he's jousting.
I have an interesting take. One of my new favorites is it's a recent movie. What was it? The Duel?
Last joust. That was a good joust.
Is no one going to say Knight Riders?
Yeah.
Nope.
No one's gonna say that.
Okay, all right, just say.
Well, I know personally all the stuntmen who got into it on the Knight Riders. So yeah, it's great cinema, but wow, we can rack up some injuries.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say A Knight's Tale also, but for slightly different reason. I think it's just I like it is a little ridiculous, right? A lot of the jousting that they do there, it's not really functionally accurate, but I love the story that they tell. It's like it's a very clear, you have your good guy and your bad guy, and just his rise to glory is just so kind of clear cut and really gripping. And I think that's kind of something that we aspire to as a theatrical jousting group, is to do something like that an audience member coming in who's never even seen a joust before can immediately glom onto the story and be like, I'm invested and this is what I'm interested in and who I'm rooting for. So I think, yeah.
Well, I really wanted to do a Paul Bettany introduction for you guys, but I really would have messed that up. Speaking of A Knight's Tale.
Thank you, yeah.
And for the record, I may be a little bit angry at The Knight's Tale still, because we were all out on the road jousting when that movie came out, and every fair we went to that year wanted to do a Knight's Tale event. And so I wound up with 3 of the shows I did, we had to go to viewings of it in the theater, in full armor, and watch it. And this was back in the days before the really awesome reclining seats. And yeah, I think I definitely did some nerve damage to my feet, because I could not feel them at the end of every show. So maybe I'm like, just saying.
Is that everyone?
Oh, I guess I did. So Knight's Tale for me too, although it's not technically a joust. One of my favorite movie scenes involving horses and charging is the Ride of the Rohirrim from. Come on.
That digital mayhem, you cannot control.
Also notably mostly women.
Yes, only because they got all of the horses in New Zealand, all of them, and a lot of them were owned by women. And they were like, hey, bring your horses, we'll put a wig on you and a beard on you and you can ride.
Yeah, great. Well, I have a question, because we talk a lot about A Knight's Tale, and I've always obviously noticed their jousting is different. Their lances look different than what you guys use in the fairs, things like that. Can one of you tell us the difference between their type of joust and what you guys do? Is there a difference, or is it just the type of movie?
A Knight's Tale? Well, A Knight's Tale is technically set in our period. So it is, Jouster is there. He jousts the Edward the Black Prince. We know, historically, when Edward the Black Prince was touring in disguise as a jouster. We know what, so we can pin it down almost to the exact year. It would have been great if they had done it full period. But then you wouldn't have got the evil Rocky.
Yeah.
So, that was kind of the thing.
Yeah, I mean, the Knight's Tale joust went through a lot of different periods. You had armor from the 16th century, 15th century, 17th century joust.
They mixed it up.
They really mixed it up to make everybody seem like from different countries and different places. The way the lances exploded is very theatrical.
They were full of spaghetti.
Yep, they're hollowed out, they were spaghetti, then repainted, so they break in big splinters, where actual wooden lances break in chunks. So, I mean, there's a lot of difference. They showed using the erects a lot, the hooks on the breastplate, such like that.
Much later period.
But they were like, so yeah, that's the biggest difference. But yeah, it really came down to budget. I mean, each of those lances in Knight's Tale, I think, took 12 hours to make.
Yeah, according to Jared Listiak, another legendary jouster, for those that don't know, they tried to make breakaway lances out of spaghetti, just like they did in the Knight's Tale, but they didn't work because they couldn't waterproof them well enough. And when the water gets in the spaghetti, it turns it way more solid than wood, so it was even worse.
It was like fiberglass.
Yeah.
You just did not break it.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to add into that before we move? Okay, then I would like to ask you guys, tell us something interesting about your armor. Because I see all you guys are wearing different types of armor. You're talking about period armor. Is it all period to the Renaissance time that we are used to when we go, like the Tudor Elizabethan time?
I would say that Rob and I would have two completely different answers to that. So I'll let Rob go first.
Okay. The armor that you see at most Renaissance fairs isn't period to the Elizabethan time period. If the Queen's there, the armor that you see generally isn't Elizabethan jousting armor. One, for a theatrical joust, that armor is way too limiting in body motion. So the saddle falls and what you can do with it is vastly different. Historically jousting, if you're jousting Elizabethan armor, you really can't come out of the saddle. The saddles were built in a way that kept you locked in with the horse the whole time. They're also harder to get in and out of. And in a joust show, when you're watching a joust at a fair, a lot of things happen that don't take place in an actual historical joust. You go from being in the saddle to easily fighting on ground without any of your armor pieces being taken off by squires. So, for the Elizabethan age, no, what you see isn't Elizabethan armor.
Also, in the Elizabethan era, no one jousted to the death, ever.
Yeah, I mean, not in tournaments and things like that.
If you want to joust to the death at the Renaissance fair, you kind of need to look to different periods and different styles than what you would see in an Elizabethan menage or a carousel.
Didn't Elizabeth outlaw jousting?
No, she never outlawed jousting, but there were certain days, accession day tilts. There were certain feast days where there was jousting. Edward III outlawed it for a while. That's why everybody went to France to joust in the early 1300s.
A couple of popes also signed papal bulls, making it a sin to send you straight to hell if you took part in turning to joust. But those ultimately got overturned because it was sports. Man, you don't take away sports.
People dying.
So about your armor.
Anyone else want to add?
My armor is a late 15th century armor. I have the erect placement here for the erect for when I joust with heavy lances. The chainmail accents, the sallet on my head, which down with my buff. Makes it a very late 15th century armor that I use. And that's generally what I joust in now. The other gentlemen here have different periods of armor from an earlier age, generally. Once again, the more armor you have, the more limited you are in your body motion. And it also comes down to budget. An armor made for your body is expensive, to the point of ruining marriages.
New car this year, honey?
No, or new car or armor. Yeah, that's the choice you make. Have a flushing toilet or new armor. Go with the armor. So that is like the biggest difference what I'm wearing and what the other gentleman here is wearing.
Now, what I'm wearing is basically a fantasy kit, but it is based on a 1350 to 1375 transitional plate armor. This is the period when you still had chainmail, but you had plates over it. And I'm not wearing full legs and full arms because I didn't think I was going to probably encounter anyone in the room that I would have to fight to the death with. So, although the night is still young, but I think the gentleman with the lightsabers left, so I'm feeling better. But basically, it's this style of armor has kind of been generally adopted medieval times. Those guys basically wear kind of a fantasy kit from the same period. The concept that the only parts of your body that you need to worry about are apparently your neck and your shoulders. Okay? And your head. So, and any question about armor is going to result in zeroing in on the exact year and the exact place where it's taking place, because Spanish armor is different than Italian armor, which is different than French armor, which is different than it's a period. The jousting period is literally 700 years. So yeah, there's a wide gamut.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, I'm wearing Amazon armor. Amazon.com.
You went all the way to the Amazon jungle to get that armor.
You look like Amazon.
Right. Yeah, and it goes both ways. I wear this harness when I joust for the most of my jousts because it's my armor. I have this suit and another harness I wear in different competition jousts. But once again, I go down to a show that's in the 1300s and I wear this, which is as anachronistic as wearing chainmail and a barrel helm in a Elizabethan joust. So, people aren't coming to Renaissance fairs for the historical Williamsburg experience. They're coming there to have fun. So, yeah, we wear the armor we like to wear when we joust, and you need a good helmet, and a cup, and a shield, and you can joust. I mean, that's pretty safe after that.
And I own several period kits at home. But
how many of you are wearing Sir Marcus's armor today?
Yeah, I have a problem.
well, it's because you mentioned it's very expensive to get custom-made armor. I mean, like I said, this is Amazon.com armor, and I'm fighting with it. It's uncomfortable. I know it doesn't fit right, and I know you guys look to get armor made, but like you said, it costs a new car or a down payment on the house.
To be blunt, you get what you pay for. The top tier jousting armors will run you $50,000 and up. The harness I'm wearing now is all stainless. I had it made specifically for Renaissance fairs, and it's upward of over $8,000 of armor. And it's all custom made. So it's like, it all depends on, once again, for some folks, jousting is a lifestyle, and you give up all the other things so you can keep jousting. I own 4 horses right now. I've owned up to 7, and I could have a really nice house. Yeah, but I don't, because all that goes into board money and feeding the horses and buying armor. I was having to buy. I need to replace one of my cars, but then I saw this half suit of armor online, and okay, I just bought a half suit of armor again. So the car can be next year. That's fine.
Just showed up on his doorstep.
It's always changing. You've got a lot of stainless steel up here, which is like great. But on the far end, Nate's wearing titanium. That's part of a custom titanium suit that I had made by a wonderful armor smith in Ukraine. And unfortunately, his shop no longer exists. But I did manage to get my kit not long before the beginning of the trouble over there. So, so things are kept. I mean, titanium, you're going to spend a lot more money for that. Stainless, spend a lot more money on hardware work. There are guys out there who joust in tempered aluminum, which is a thing.
What about leather armor?
Sure.
It works. Rob and I were doing a show for kids once, a little kids demo, and we forgot one set of breastplates. He had his breastplate.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So we took a couple leather belts and wrapped like 4 leather belts around my torso, and we started whacking at each other, and we're like, hey, these leather belts are working. Yeah. So, I mean, one thing that's kind of historical, actually, with modern jousting, is if you want to be a modern jouster professionally for any length of time, just like back in the medieval times, you had to buy your own kit.
Yep.
You had to get your own kit because you could only use company sets for so long because they get beat up and people.
And they never fit. They never fit right.
Yeah. So you want to get your own kit. You know, if you get your own kit and get it rigged out properly for yourself, you know, you can do a darn cartwheel with this stuff.
Yeah, I've been wearing this today for what, 3 hours now?
Yeah.
3 hours, but I'll wear it for a whole fair day.
Sure.
You know, 4 hours? Okay, definitely. But you know, I fight in this every single week. Every single week I'm teaching and fighting in this. It's heavy, but it's made for me, so it makes it easy.
Thank you. I had a question about your characters, your personas. I'm always fascinated by the details. So, like, when did you choose your details, whether it's like color or backstory or theme?
Great question. I think it's a little different for everyone. For me, I do love blue and white. I was not the original one that chose that, although I was happy that I kind of got it. I started writing in blue and white because it was the colors of the Scottish flag, and I was the Scottish knight. I lived in Scotland for 7 years. I studied Gaelic and Celtic civilization at the University of Glasgow, and Solmarostig, and then the University of Strathclyde, also in Glasgow. So I kind of like Scotland a little bit. How Gaelic I am, how is it eating the sugar, how it's me, how it's the Gaelic, when it wants to should be in it.
Quit it! Stop that translate me!
So my name is George Hamilton, so my heritage is very important to me. So my character is Sir James Hamilton, the Earl of Arran, Lord of the Isles, and he is roughly based on historical characters. So there have been many James Hamiltons, Earl of Arran, because people back in the day in Scotland were not very creative when it came to naming their children. And the two main historical figures that my character is based on were both named James Hamilton. They shared a father, they were half-brothers, because James Hamilton, the Earl of Arran Sr., had a bastard child, named him James, and then had a legitimate child and said, nah, the bastard child doesn't matter anymore, so I'm going to name this one James also. So they're two very different characters. The bastard, as you may expect, was a little bit more of a troublemaker. There are some more kind of exciting stories in his background. He stirred up a lot of trouble. And the legitimate one was a little bit more boring, but much more upstanding. So I've kind of like melded them together. And depending on whether I'm playing a good guy or a bad guy, usually I end up playing the good guy. But I do love playing the bad guy.
Yeah, can you guys add that? Do you want to play the good guy or the bad guy?
Yeah, normally I get cast as a good guy, but when I get to play a bad guy, oh boy, all the stops are out, and I get to have some real fun. Because there's a lot of stuff that gets pent up. I'm sure Bail will back me up on this. When you have to play the good guy all the time, there's a lot of stuff you want to say, but you cannot. So it kind of comes out when you get to the bad guy. So yeah, that's pretty much my character. And a lot of my heraldry is my personal kind of takes on that, my historical Hamilton heraldry.
I have the exact opposite. When I started jousting back in the 80s, the company that I worked for, you were assigned your colors because we only had so many costumes. And your knight name had to be a variation on your real name.
It helps.
Yeah. My middle name is Spencer. So I became Sir Marcus of Spencer. And originally, the colors the first thing I ever wrote in was black and red. And then over the years, I wrote in different colors like 3 other times. Ultimately, I just inherited black and red. And as far as my character goes, my character is complete fantasy. He's based on an anti-paladin D&D character I played. Chaotic evil and just ridiculously evil. Like humorously obnoxiously, pathetically evil. And because of that, I'm proud to say that I am not the first person that was a cheat to win in a jousting event, but I am the third of the hundreds that have done it. I actually went to Medieval Times about 3 years ago, and the crowd and the squires in the show were chanting cheat to win. And I'm going, I know where that comes from.
When I started jousting, I went much like Sir Marcus, I was Sir Marcus. And I was we were driving into the Connecticut Fair, and I got this phone call, hey, we want you to be the evil knight at the Connecticut Fair, and we want you to be German. I went, okay, fine. Literally, on a 10-hour drive up to Connecticut. And I went, well, Knight's Tale just come out, so I'll be Sir Ulrich. And I went, well, I'll be Sir Ulrich of Swabia, because it's a place that doesn't exist anymore. All right? And then Sir Ulrich was John of Gordon, and he just was a lot of fun for the crowds because he's an idiot, baddish, good, not great guy. And he just understands that peasants are peasants. It's not your fault you're peasants. I blame your parents. They should have been nice people, but they weren't.
We love the peasants.
And so it was a year later that I found out that Sir Ulrich of Swabia really existed. Sir Ulrich, the Duke of Württemberg, actually existed. And then I have been playing him ever since. And I can never stop playing him. Because, once he starts, he starts singing the song, it never ends. It just goes on and on, my friend. No matter who started it.
Yeah, I'm
fine.
I was just going to say. Well, joust isn't a joust.
I am not bad.
A joust isn't a joust until somebody breaks something. I was just going to say, we love the peasants. We even love to see them eat occasionally.
I love the peasant women.
It's so good for morale. Of course, we will be by to burn your peasant huts to the ground this week. There's no reason for it. It's just our policy.
Alrighty then.
Why do you want to say something?
I went a totally different direction.
Why such an ethnic character?
Well, because I'm the ethnic guy. There was a time where I was the other black jouster.
Where were you at that one black guy at the fair?
Yeah, I was that guy. But I had a cousin named Suleiman. I thought it was a great name. And then my wife was, my girlfriend at the time, was reading a romance novel, and it was Middle Eastern based, and there was a Caliph of Kashgari. So I was like, I'll be Sir Suleiman, the Caliph of Kashgari. I know him. And I originally wrote in black and white. My sigil was an eagle because I'm an Eagle Scout, like literally. 1988 was when I got over that. And I usually play good guys. Because I am. I can't help it. Because I had these guys to tell me most of the time. So, that's it. I've had other names, but, it all depends on what the director wants. And now I just hire jousters.
Yeah, you do it. I don't have this awesome sword either. I'm kind of a hand-me-down knight. I have a lot of things.
But you're still important.
Tell us your name.
You're still one of our favorites.
Yeah.
Tell us all of your names.
So Tristan, just those two, right?
You were the Hound.
Yeah, well, yes, that was the Hound.
The Mohawk Marauder.
Huh?
The Mohawk Marauder.
Mohawk Marauder, yeah, there was that time. We don't talk about that anymore. I'm kind of fair, you remember? Yeah. But, so my colors actually come from, colors are blue and red because I don't know if anybody has heard of an old French comic book called Prince Valiant.
Yeah.
It was turned into a cartoon series many years ago, and I grew up watching that cartoon series when I was 4 or 5 years old, and that's where the love of knights began. So when I finally got to choose my own colors, I said there's no other better combination than red and blue. So my actual name is William. My real name is William, but there just happened to be another person jousting at the time who already had that name, so I had to find it.
So where did Balin come from?
There's a couple different historical references. There's Balin from King of Heaven. He was a real person, but there's also Sir Balin of the Two Swords, who was in the Arthurian myths. So I took that one and I thought that's a pretty good name, Sir Balin. That works good.
And the twins, Balin and Balin.
That's right, Balin and Balin.
From King Arthur.
He actually wanted to be called Sir Balin. They wouldn't let him do that.
Well, at least you're not a dwarf.
Yeah, no.
What? What's wrong with being a dwarf?
Nothing, you're cute.
And fuzzy.
Okay. Well, we are getting close to that time to turn it over to you guys in the audience. So, if you want to ask one of the jousters a question, please raise your hand. Yes.
Oh, I love when they raise their hands.
I know.
It's worse than when everybody.
Well, we are going to start in the front. So, if you mind, it's about as far as it goes.
Well, yeah, you're gonna have to come up and
Yeah. If you want to make a line down the center of the aisle here.
I'm too lazy.
Like communion. Yeah.
The mic comes to me. How many of you had to kneel and horse shit when you got your spurs?
Good question.
Yes. Yep, that was the thing I had to do.
I didn't deal in horseshit, but I have made everyone I have knighted deal in horseshit. Every single one. And I make them bring it off the field to me.
It sounds bad, but by the time you get knighted, you're so used to horse shit, it's not really a problem.
Also, in terms of poop, like, horse manure is pretty clean, right? Like, they're herbivores. All they really eat is, like, grain and grass.
Horse manure is just a dog cookie. It's emulsified grains and grasses. That's what a milk cone is.
There you go.
And I never knelt in anything because I was not knighted back in the 80s because the company did not do that. But I could have the bottle of Jack Daniels over my head. But you guys just saw my actual knighting. And that took place in 2004 in Texas when it became clear to a group of people that all these years of Sir Marcus jousting, he never been properly knighted. So they gave me the full treatment. I got this big yoke, I got my spurs buckled on, and then I got stuck with the accolade, the Kool-Aid blow, and the guy who hit me, he did it right because he knocked my collarbone out of line. Yeah, many a trip to the chiropractor after that, but I never forgot the blow that was struck. The last blow that would ever be struck to me that I could not formally redress.
Sorry, I want to piggyback with that real quick. When do you guys get knighted? What makes it? What goals? What things do you have to do to actually get to be knighted?
Typically, in most of the companies I work for, you get knighted after you successfully complete your first joust.
Yep, yeah, in front of people.
And that
has to be in front of a crowd.
That consists, usually it would consist of multiple joust passes, a saddle fall, a horse to ground fight, and a ground fight to the death. And you will be killed because nobody is allowed to win their first joust.
Nope, doesn't care if your mom's in the audience or not.
Very good. That's about as far as it reaches.
Alright, what is the worst injury you've sustained during a joust? Or if it's too graphic, what's the funniest?
Maybe some of ours might be the same.
The worst injury, I've been pretty lucky, I would say, in terms of that. I haven't done it for as long as some of these guys. But I do, you may notice I do have a lovely little scar here on my eyebrow. This is not just an aesthetic choice, that is an actual scar. I was during a ground fight, and my partner and I were throwing fisticuffs, and there was a part in the fight where he was looking over my shoulder to see when the other guys were done with their horse-to-horse bit, so we were essentially just killing time, like punching each other. But when he saw that they were ready, we would like make eye contact, and he would make a big punch to send me over so I could grab my spear and we could start the next part of our fight. In this part, I don't know exactly what happened. He maybe swung it a little wide, I maybe leant in a little bit too much, but the corner of his armor clipped my eye and tore out a chunk of my eyebrow. And when it first happened, I couldn't think of anything but, wow, that really hurt. That wasn't supposed to happen. But I went into my little dive roll and I came up and I thought, oh, man, I hope it's not bleed, as a giant cloud of blood like fell into my eye socket.
It is a very cool scar, though.
It is a pretty cool scar, and there are a couple really cool pictures of that fight because I took a second. I was like, okay, I think I'm okay. I'm not seeing stars. I can still stand on my balance. It's okay. I think okay. I'm gonna finish this fight. So my spear was like right on the edge of the stage, and there was a bunch of actors on the stage because we have a big melee, as you all know, at the end of the Pennsylvania show. And I went to grab my spear, and they were, they're supposed to be like, oh, rebel, 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 rebel. But there was a very glorious moment when they all just looked at me and went, oh my God, and they were just silent for a hot second. I grabbed my spear, I whipped around, and I did the rest of that fight, and that was the most exciting fight I have ever done, I think. That was so much fun.
Adrenaline.
Yeah, adrenaline, man. It's adrenaline.
I have a broadsword scar here, and then a matching one over here. They're pretty faint. I've got, scars and nicks and minor injuries. In all the years that I did it, I never broke a bone, and I never had a stitch. Knock on wood.
You're still young.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But the worst one I ever got was I did a saddle fall off a Titan who was crazy, and when you went to do your saddle fall, he would buck you, and then he would rodeo buck all the length of the field trying to get you off. And then when you were in the air, he would try to kick you.
Oh no!
Well, I was in the air upside down, rolling away from him, and he threw a kick, and he went to land it on the side of my head. I had a full helm on, 14 gauge steel, so I didn't feel it, heavily padded, other than suddenly my head just kind of turned to the side. And then I hit the ground, I got up, and I was like, oh, the bell got rung. Fought the rest of the day, everything was great. That was the Sunday, and we were done for the week. And then I went to bed that night. I woke up the next day, and I couldn't feel my arm to about the middle of the wrist. And then during the course of the day, I lost all sensation in it. Went to the chiropractor, and they were like, "Oh yeah." And what had happened was when he hit me, my body was going this way. In the arm, there was a lot of weight and a lot of momentum. My head suddenly went that way, and my clavicle popped forward, rotated, and then popped back. And I was like, please, help me. And the chiropractor, she was a brilliant lady. She put me on the table, she pulled out an actuator gun, and she went pop, 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 like kind of like popcorn. And she tapped it back in. And it was like, good. Got all this. So that was the worst one I ever got.
I've been beat up a number of times, but so we were in Michigan. They were shooting B-roll for a movie. We went to the producer and said, "Hey, is there anything gonna be weird? You're shooting B-roll? No, nothing's gonna be weird." Great. Okay. We're about to make our first 4-person pass, 2 nights and 2 nights. Then out from behind the crowd looms a camera crane that goes, "Rah!" My horse I was riding went, hell no. And there! Made a sharp left turn. I've got lance, shield, everything I'm going. I'm leaning forward, I'm ready to give a hit. Next thing I know, I'm ejected. I go head first into the sand. I'm wearing these big horns on my helmet. They stick into the sand. I flop down. My squire runs over to me and goes, green, because we use a code green, yellow, or red to know how badly you're hurt. Green means I'm good, yellow means I'm hurt, but we go on, red means no, I can't do anything. I go, okay, no, green, I'm good. He takes my helmet and shield, and then I go to stand up. And nothing works. I can't move my arms, I can't move my legs. I yell, roll me off the field. And they roll me off the field to the back of the field as I'm contemplating being a paraplegic. Now, in another 5 minutes, I got tingly and everything came back. I had shocked my spine on the fall, but that was scary. Now, my funny one was, 2 years ago, I'm laying down dying. We do this trick where you lay with your legs wide, and the other knight comes over and sticks the sword between your legs, and you sit up like, whoa, that's my, jewels, don't let go there. At the last moment, the knight sticking the sword, for some reason, looked up. And you know when you lay down, there's that little roll of skin from your butt that sticks out? They stuck the sword through the top of my butt and out the bottom of my butt into the ground. I went, ow! And then he pulls it out. And yes, I got stabbed in the ass.
A lot of us have been stabbed in the ass.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the funniest one, probably.
Wow.
Yeah, I have pictures. I'll show you the pictures later.
Please don't show us the pictures.
At the club, I showed everybody in person, but you got to
mine's boring.
I'm sorry.
I'm normal. I've been jousting for 10 weeks. Horses and people get exhausted at that point, so you end up going on autopilot. The horse I was usually riding on, it had a little stone bruise, so we gave him a day off. So I had to go back to riding the horse. You remember Loki? Yeah, that same horse. I went back to ride that horse that I'd ridden the year before, and he was one of those horses that if you take your feet out of the stirrups, they feel them hit their sides, and he's like, wow! He's crazy. So what we learned with this particular horse was, you ride him to the end, you sit down nice and calm, you turn the horse into the lane, it's all good. You spur him up, he starts running, then you take your feet out of the stirrups, because then all you do is get a burst of speed. No big deal. Well, I'm exhausted. Longer story we have time for. And I forget that this particular horse doesn't want to do that. You gotta you gotta do that whole big situation. So I came to the end, took my feet out of the stirrups, they went click, click, and he went, whoa! And I went, whoop, whoop, bam! And luckily, it was the pass I was supposed to get struck on to lose the joust, because when I went to get up, my left knee didn't work. And so I grabbed the fence and said, my lord, you have won the day. You won the victim. And then I go back to my trainers back behind stage, and the owner of the fair sent the stage manager down, and they were like, are you okay? I'm like, is it bad when the knee is hot to the touch? Oh yeah, that's bad. Is it bad that I can't like bend it? And like, yeah. Okay, yeah, we want to call somebody. Yeah, so MRIs and stuff later. I badly sprained my knee, almost tore the parts that connected, and that was that. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Hopper.
It's boring.
I didn't stab the butt.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to follow the butt stab.
Butt stab? What about that time you ripped a piece of my leg out? Well, that was just an axe. Yeah, that was just an axe. That wasn't jousting. That wasn't, no.
So that was just off the field personal combat?
We're doing a chess match fight. Chess match fight. Beautiful. Yeah, great. 4-foot-long lock bar axe. Oh, stabbed me in the... Yeah, I chopped it. Oh, chopped the point of it inside my thigh. And then I'm like, they say, we got the EMTs. I'm like, I don't want to ride in the cart of shame. And I started hobbling away. But they can follow you because they have a golf cart. So they're faster than I am.
And they're following you with the
yeah, I'm like, ow. I can walk there.
Okay, Nate, you're not getting out of this.
No, my story is not nearly as cool, but it's kind of silly, right? So I'm doing a fight, and I have a spear, and I get disarmed, and I'm supposed to get knocked out. So I do the move, the spear goes flying, I get punched, and I fall back on the ground. And I'm laying there with my eyes closed, pretending to be knocked out, thinking, way to go, Nate. You did a good job with that fight. That was awesome. And all of a sudden, something hits me in the face. The spear went flying, landed with the point up, and hovered there for a moment. And then after I fell on the ground and laid there, it just went. The point of the spear hit me right under the eye. So I had a sweet scar. Eventually it healed over, and I don't have that sweet scar anymore.
Oh man, you gotta pick at it.
I should have.
You gotta pick at the scars, man.
That was the dumbest injury that I had.
I will say, when I was getting my eyebrows stitched up, the doctor was like, oh, this should be fine. Like, you probably didn't really need stitches, but the stitches will help with the scarring. And I did have a moment where I thought I could jump out of this chair right now and rip these stitches out of my eyebrow and have a cool ass scar for the rest of my life. I did.
Yeah, unfortunately with scars, we got 2 hours of stories just with those.
Look, I'm gonna throw this one in. This wasn't the guys here, but I was in a joust one time with Thomas Kip Shelton, whose voice you heard over some of explaining what we do and everything else. He's currently in charge of the Hanley's Action Theater. We started jousting in 1979. We jousted in Bristol in 1991, and we had done the complete joust to the death, and he had been killed. Spat blood, fell down, and we had this huge death cart. I don't know what they converted it from, but it was like an old farm cart that they wheel it in, and they would load the dead bodies and wheel it out. And we had a very, very energetic head squire who liked to grab things like, oh, and he would pull it himself. And he would bring it out, and he would back it up, and he would wheel it around. And really, you love this thing. We finished the joust. I walk over, the night second, and night marshal raises my arm and says, good people, the joust has been completed, and Sir Marcus has won. Sir Thomas, the Duke of Kent, is dead. And you heard from the ground, ah! And everyone looked over, and the squires went to kneel. Are you okay? Are you okay? And he was on his back, still dead, fake blood on him, and he was laughing and crying. And he said, he ran over my hand with the death card. That's part one. Part two is, he re-broke all my broken fingers. Good times. Good times.
We only got about 15 minutes left. We should do a speed round. All right.
What's your funniest story from learning how to ride a horse?
My funniest story from learning how to ride a horse? Well, I'll just say, one time we were doing an entrance. It was during the show. It was great. I've fallen off horses plenty of times during entrance passes. That's always great and embarrassing. But this one time, I was riding a horse named Ice, and he doesn't deserve your sympathy. I was following Nate. He was in front of me. We were the good guys coming out. We went to go around the far end of the field, and Nate, makes that turn fine. He comes around, but somebody had like an umbrella or something in the audience, and they like raised it up, and Ice did not like that, and he started booking it. And he tried to book it out the joust field, so there's like two big entrances at the back of the joust field, and he tried to book it out the bad guy, but I said, no, we are in the show, we can't do that, so I tried to turn him, but Ice turns like a Mack truck, which is not sharp. So he wanted to go this way, I wanted to go that way, so we settled out somewhere kind of in the middle, and there's a wall there. So I very nearly got slammed into that wall. Nate, meanwhile, is riding ahead. He's already talking to our audience while I'm in the back, like, get thrown up onto his withers, which is like the neck part. And I think, I'm not going to let this horse beat me. So I hook myself back into the saddle, follow Nate, and then we address our crowd. And everything goes great for that.
It was really weird because I'm riding through the audience and I'm supposed to hear cheers, and all I hear is, ooh!
You want to hear that sound. The audience going, oh.
People,
and the drums go, bum, 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 bum.
The two guys waiting in the back that are the bad guy knights, they just see my lance going around, and then apparently they just see it all of a sudden stop and go. That was a great time for me and my horse.
Okay, so my second joust ever. I'm like, woo, I jousted, I'm awesome. And I really wasn't. I came in to do the joust, and I was riding a horse. Her name was Guinevere, and she was little, and she was old, and she was slow. But she was still game to go, but she did not want to work. So I had to wear spurs, and I wore big mechanicals, which are these things where they have big blunt balls on the end of it. Because she was so old, she was kind of dead on her sides, because you would have to really pound her and say, well, you didn't want to hurt her. So I had spurs. And I went to do the joust. I came to the part where I did my saddle fall, I did the second saddle fall. I got knocked off, my spur got caught, my spur got caught in the saddle, pulled the saddle around. Oh no, and they pulled me loose, and then I got up and I finished the fight. I was going to win that day, second joust. So I won, and I'm like, yay! Now it's time for me to do my triumphant victory lap. But the squires had not righted my saddle. So I was like, oh, I'll go out on Kent's horse. Kent was riding the horse. Great, fantastic, wonderful ride. Very hot, very fast. And so they brought the horse over, and I'm not thinking clearly. I'm young and dumb, it's my second joust. And I climb up in the back of the horse, I got in the saddle, and okay, and I trot over to the middle and said, oh, hail the victor, Sir Marcus of Spencer! And I'm like, huzzah! And I'm gonna make my victory lap. And I spurred that horse like the way that I would have spurred Guinevere.
Oh no.
And I did not do one exit lap, I did 3. And it was like, all the way out the gate. Broke the gate. And then rode into the parking lot, actually. Great, the horse's name was obviously great horse, but yeah, don't use spurs on that horse.
Anyone else? Embarrassing? I can't top any of those. So.
Next question. Next question.
Hello, as a thespian myself, I studied music in college, which was a blessing and a curse for several reasons, most of it, but pocket here. I would like to hear, just from y'all, what do you, like, on average, what would you say that you make? Is it enough to live on in this day and age? I know, laughing, but still, what would you say that your annual salary-ish would be? Because I know you guys get paid per gig.
Did you hear the pizza joke?
Yes.
Okay, alright. Yeah, I think that's...
So, I'll put it this way. A good jouster back in 1984, at the top of their game, was probably making...
With their own equipment.
With their own equipment, and their own, probably making $500-600 a week, right? That hasn't changed. And that's like the cream of the crop, all right? Like, no one gets paid enough to do it. The only time you ever get paid enough to do this type of job is if you get a movie deal or a special event where you're getting $1,000 for every phone.
Yeah.
As opposed to, $500.
I've done a bunch of work for like National Geographic and the History Channel back before they did only, real live TV crap and stuff. And yeah, that paid really good. But yeah, you joust because you love it. You don't, if you want to make money, stay in school, don't use drugs.
In 2004, that was the last year that I went on the road for the whole year. I just started jousting with Brian. He had like 6 shows. I jousted at every one of his shows, making top dollar at the time, which was like $550 a week. And I did every bit of work I could do the whole year. Started in 1st of February, ended up at the end of October, and I cleared 17.5.
Yeah, like I've owned my own company for a number of years, as long as I've been jousting for the most part. And if you're on the road full time, you can have a nice living, but you're living out of, remember, a porta-john is your bathroom for 12 months of the year. And you're always traveling, and there's a lot of expenses. So yeah, you want to make money, but don't buy swords and armor, and horses, and big trucks that take diesel, and RVs, and toilet paper.
We want to get to the last 3 questions.
All right, let's go. Speed round.
So we've heard a lot of great stories from you guys, but what is one of the most embarrassing things that has had in a fight, either joust or other type of fight?
Embarrassing thing.
Aside from the stab story.
Embarrassing in a fight.
Okay, so around that same time when the steer incident, I was doing a fight with Brian, and I was the bad guy, which most of you. I was a bad guy for a very short period of time in the beginning, and then ever since then I've been typecast as the good guy, and I don't understand why. Very embarrassing. But
it's because you went to therapy.
But I was the bad guy. Yeah, right. I was the bad guy, and I was super pumped to be the bad guy. And I go to fight Sir William, who's the good guy, and I got my sword and go into it. And about 3 minutes of that fight, we go ting ting tang. My sword broke. So I'm standing there looking at Brian, and I've got just a hilt, and I look at Brian, and look at the audience, and I look back at the sword, look back at Brian, and I just run over the sail. I grab another sword, and I run back over, and I go, okay. And we just have to start doing it over again. So that was probably one of the most embarrassing things in a fight that has happened, is your sword breaking. You feel pretty useless after that.
Yeah, I think for me, just you're supposed to be a knight, you're supposed to be an expert horseman, and sometimes you hit a show where it just doesn't come together, and you're on a horse that maybe don't listen to you, and I had this one horse, Thor, who just literally decided he was done, and there's nothing I could do, because they're 1,400 pounds with a horse, and he takes a right-hand turn and throws me into a fence. And then, like, that's the end. Like okay, I'm a master for horse riding. Yeah. Oh. That's it.
It was a good joust. I had a really great fall. It was a little weird. I was okay. Everything was great. I finish. I get killed. I fall down. I'm splayed open like England. I've just been, like, I think, smacked in the face with something. And what I didn't know is my tights had ripped, and the Queen's Court and the band are all staring at my penis. Yep.
I have two that are like that. The first one is on September 21st, 2012, at about 2:26 in the afternoon. That's how embarrassing it was. I walked across the chessboard to fight Sir William, Lord of Whitehall, and he had been off to do the Pittsburgh show. And this was his first weekend back. I had been rehearsing the fight that we were going to do with another night. He had been rehearsing the same fight with another night in Pittsburgh. We came out to fight, and we both forgot every single move. So what you got was about 35, 40 seconds of us going,
Strike me down, and I will come back more powerful than you never remember.
Finally, he hit me, I fell down, and he went, yeah. The most embarrassing. That one, and then I had another, I did a joust in front of a packed crowd. I won. I killed like 4 people, and I'm like the Lord of Evil, and I stood up, and I raised my sword, and went, victory! And the squire came and put his hand on it, and he went, your tights are completely blown out. Your tights are blown out, and everyone can see them.
Yep. Yeah, I think for me, I kind of alluded to this before. So one time in the Scarborough Fair in Texas, I was the Scottish knight, and in Texas they have a Scottish queen. And I was the first one to ride out on the field. So Sir William announces me. He says, and he gestures to the queen. He says, "And your champion, your majesty, Sir James." And I ride out. Now, flashback really quickly. In a previous joust when he'd done an entrance pass, one of my other jousting partners, Linz, had to stop in the jousting in the entrance pass because his girth was too loose. And so he had to like stop so his saddle wouldn't slip. So we all made fun of him for the rest of the day about, oh, make sure you tighten your girth. Your champion, your majesty. I found taken out after having just asked Linz if his girth strap was tight enough. And what happens? I come around that turn and my whole saddle just starts going. And I go, I hit the ground, I bounced up, and we continued the show, and it was great.
Next question.
Next question. So first of all, I'm deeply grateful that certain Lord Henry does not remember any Mark Baines, would definitely not be apprentices of any Lord Kerry, because that would be deeply embarrassing for me. And second of all, I've had the honor of sparring several jousters and SCA guys, all ground fighting and things, because at Chinese martial artists I can't ride a horse. And one of the things that I've always asked about and never quite gotten a satisfactory answer is, y'all always seem to be wearing these relatively flat breastplates, which seem to, from my point of view, transfer quite a lot of force to your chests, as opposed to like maybe it's later, maybe it's a shields thing, the more convex breastplates of like the later Spanish conquistadors and things like that. And well, frankly, it's a little easy to like crack them and dent them and stuff.
Right.
And so like, why wear those, which from this coward's point of view seem to hurt a lot, instead of something that pushes the blows away from you more?
I got that. And you're absolutely right. That's because the flat breastplates, those are fake breastplates. They're not really designed to deflect. They're designed to just be a piece of metal that you wear. And yeah, you're 100% right. But what you would want from the point of view of period, and you can see it's what Rod's wearing, is you would want your breastplate and or body bracelet, whatever you want to be globose, meaning you want there to be air, a round shaped air. You want air between the metal and your body, and fill with padding or whatever, so that if something happens, number one, impact will not be transferred, and number two, if something gets through it, it's got farther to go, an arrowhead or whatever, and it can be stopped in USD. But yeah, and basically, we hit each other in the chest, so we don't have to worry about that. But yeah, great question.
Thank you.
So, race horses have funny names. Do joust horses also have funny names? And what is the funniest joust horse name you have heard in your career?
So the horse that I like to ride, his name's Easy Money. His name is Easy Money apparently because he was purchased for $1. And he's worth way, way more than that. I love that. And then we also have Ice, who's called Ice, I guess because he's got blue eyes, but he's not really a horse. He's a goat in a horse's body.
He's pure, concentrated equine evil.
He really is. He's also made out of rubber. His front end is not attached to his back end by any sort of logistical means.
I have two. One of them is Biscuit, an old cowboy horse that we took on in Colorado. Trained him up and used him for a couple of years, and and you can't say it on the field ever because everyone will laugh at you, and then you're not cool jousters anymore. And then, but my favorite one of all time is a horse that we bought in 1987 in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and the horse's name, and we kept it for the show. His name was Dunderpaden. Which is Danish and translates into thunder pudding.
Yeah, one of my knights had the fierce horse Buttercup. Yep.
Oh gosh, any weird name? Oh, Loki. I'm gonna say it, Loki. Loki. I gotta think. I mean, just horses have personalities, and many times they get named according to their personality, usually, or it sounds strangely fitting after a while. And so, just be careful about horse names. That's all I'm gonna say. You can kill someone.
In John's brain now, it's all Loki all the time.
No kidding. He's trying to kill me.
He did not go to therapy for that PTSD.
How about you, Surveillance?
No, because it would be Easy Money, but
Yeah, it's a very small guy.
Thunder pudding!
That is my final time. Hey, we want to thank all of you for coming out and sitting through this 2-hour panel, listening. You're not. We want to thank these knights for making the journey from where they have come.
It's our pleasure.
I came from far and wide.
And we want to say, until next time, so long.
Farewell.
Namarie.